What's up, guys? Okay, I'm talking about when things went overt, when my gang stalking became, um, when I first noticed it really starting, and I've thought back, and I'm like, okay, this is the night where the first time I actually started recognizing something was off, and I didn't know it was gang stalking right away, and that's why I set the scene with my part one, because most of the time when I've heard people talk about when things went overt, when their targeting went overt, there was like a catalyst event, an event that was like the starting point. And for me, it was in part one, it was the stealing of this backpack, right? So there's a couple details that I want to reiterate on this before I get into the rest of the story. So the items in the backpack are important. Specifically too, like there was some clothing in it that doesn't matter much, that was gone. I still had the tablet that was in there, and it was okay. So I had the tablet, and then another thing that was in there that I'll talk about in the story because it's important was it was a pipe, okay, for smoking drugs basically. So that was gone. Like the chick that got it, she already sold it off, but I had the tablet. She gave the tablet back. And what's interesting about this is like someone came up to me and gave me another pipe for free, which was kind of like, now it's kind of weird because if I didn't have that, like the sequence of events wouldn't have happened in the way that they did. And one other detail I want to reiterate is the fact that this guy that was there, that the backpack that I stole, he had an accent. He had an African accent that came out when he was talking. That's something I knew about him. I didn't, like when he was up there, I didn't pay attention to really what he looked like, I didn't know him, and stuff like that. So I just knew that he was black and he had a African accent, right? And so later that night, when I took this backpack, it's like about 9 or 10 maybe at this point. So this dude comes back. He's a black dude, right? Well, I'll just say this dude came, black dude, and I'm only including that because it's important to the story. And so I didn't recognize this guy either, but he comes over there and he's like, hey, does anyone have a pipe, that I could trade or buy from them? And like my main thing is heroin, right? So I was like, anything that I had was like always up for grabs for heroin, right? So I had this pipe, and I'm like, yeah, what's up, what's up with some black? And he's like, I don't got that on me, but someone that stays next to me does. I just live a block up. And I was like, all right, well, I might go grab that and come back, because I don't know this dude. And I'm not thinking anything weird, really. I was trying to like stay where I was at, and dude's coming over to me wanting to buy it, but then he's like, well, come with me. And I'm like, just go get it and bring it back, I'm not trying to do all that. And so he keeps on, and eventually, like, I'm like, okay, I need some heroin, I'm gonna be sick. And so I end up going with this dude, and everything's like normal, like going up there. And so we went like a block up, and it was like another like kind of place where they had set up on the block for tents. So dude is, when we go up there, he stops at this tent next to him, and like I can't hear what he's saying. He's talking to dude, and I don't know, I kind of got a little bit of a weird vibe like at that point. But again, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm gonna be able to trade this for some heroin, and it'll be worth it. And this is like, when you're doing drugs, it's like you have to deal with certain stuff, right, to get what you want. So he's like, all right. So he's done talking to his tent neighbor, And then he's like, all right, follow me. And so he goes next door, opens up his tent. He goes in it, and I'm like, I'm sitting at the entrance of his tent. And for some reason, like, I don't feel comfortable going in there, right? Like I said, like this, I kind of started getting like a bit of a weird feeling. Just like the vibe was off. And he goes, hey, he's like, come all the way in. And so I go into his tent, and there's like a couch, and he's like kind of on the other side of the couch, like, and the tent was weird because it was shaped kind of like an L. So it was like this, like I'm at this point, and I'm stepped right inside the tent, and then he's like, zip that up behind you, zip that up behind you. And it was just like I'm just getting like a little more weirded out and uneasy. So like I zip down this tent, but I have my hand like right where the zipper comes down, so I can literally just like pull it up and go out, you know, if I need to. And so I'm talking to this dude, and I mentioned the shape of this tent because what was weird about it is dude was talking to me, and like he'd be looking at me, and then he would look this way, and I can't see on the other side of the tent, but it was like they had like a open window there. And like I said, he was just talking to his tent neighbor that was right next to him. And like as he's talking to me, he would like look over, and this is where like the hand signaling stuff started. And I'm just like, I'm watching him do this a couple times where he looks over and then signals out, and I'm just like, what the heck, right? And then so I'm talking to him, and I'm like trying to get out of there, but he doesn't have the heroin, right? Like he said he did. And so anyways, he gives me like a pack of needles, and so like but he keeps signaling and stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is so weird. And he asked me, this is where like why I mentioned the other items. Like he asked me, he's like, hey, do you have any electronics? And I told him, I said, yeah, I got this tablet. And dude, after I said that, he said something, and his accent was back, and I was like, this is the same dude. Like it was like almost like he lured me back there to find out I was the one that took the bag. And like all this just hit me really quick. And dude, this fear just comes over me, right? Because I'm like, all that, like the weird vibe, all this stuff is like making sense, and I'm like, dang, like they're gonna do something, you know? And because he said something, and his African accent came back, dude. It was just like, it was a super creepy feeling. Like I can't describe it. It was like this fear just came over me, and I was like, bro, I was like, I don't know, I was like, I might be tripping, but like I'm getting a really sketchy vibe from you. I was like, if you want that tablet, you're gonna have to come get it from me. And so like before he even answered, like I was like, zzz, and I was out, right? And so as I'm walking back, like it's not a far walk, but this walk back, like that fear is just like with me, you know? And I'm like, I can't really put my finger on what's going on. So I'm gonna stop there because like I said, I want these videos to be short so I can upload them quick. So I'm gonna do a part 3, and it might even be a part 4, but this is leading up to where things really started. I'll see you on the next one.